The sky above the barren wasteland was a deep shade of violet, swirling with streaks of gold that shimmered like liquid fire as the twin suns began their descent, casting elongated shadows over the jagged alien terrain. The air was thick with the scent of sulfur, and the faint hum of an unknown energy resonated in the distance. A lone figure trudged through the dust-covered ground, his silhouette outlined against the otherworldly glow. His name was Elias Kane, a seasoned intergalactic explorer. Known for venturing where others feared to tread, his journey had brought him to Oriona, a planet on the fringes of the known galaxy that few dared to visit. Elias was not here by choice. His ship had malfunctioned during a routine expedition, leaving him stranded in this hostile world with dwindling supplies and no immediate hope of rescue. But Elias was nothing if not resourceful, and his determination to survive burned brighter than the dying embers of his campfire. His goal was to find a way to repair his ship, or at least send out a distress signal to nearby systems. As he navigated the alien landscape, Elias came upon a peculiar sight. In the distance, he could see what appeared to be a cluster of crystalline structures glinting in the fading light. Curious and desperate for shelter, he approached cautiously each step, crunching on the brittle surface of the planet's crust. The structures were massive, towering spires of translucent material that seemed to pulse with an inner glow as if alive. It was here, among these crystalline towers, that Elias first encountered them, a group of small alien children. Their features were delicate, their skin shimmering with iridescent hues that shifted with the light. Their large, expressive eyes were filled with fear and curiosity. They huddled together as Elias approached, their fragile forms trembling in the cool evening breeze. Elias instinctively raised his hands in a gesture of peace, his voice soft and steady as he spoke words of reassurance. Though they likely could not understand his language, the tone seemed to calm them. One of the children stepped forward, her movements tentative. She held a small glowing orb in her hands, which she extended toward Elias as if offering it to him. Elias knelt down to her level, his eyes meeting hers as he carefully took the orb. It was warm to the touch, and seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy. He felt an inexplicable connection to the object and to the children who stood before him. They were not merely inhabitants of this strange world. They were its future, its hope. It did not take long for Elias to realize the gravity of their situation. The children were alone, vulnerable, and in danger from the harsh environment and the predators that roamed the night. Their village, if it could be called that, was a makeshift collection of shelters made from broken shards of the crystalline towers. It offered little protection against the elements or the creatures that lurked in the shadows. Elias knew he could not leave them behind, despite his own precarious circumstances. He made a silent vow to protect them, to ensure their survival, even if it meant risking his own life. He fashioned rudimentary weapons from the materials around him. Sharp-edged stones and sturdy branches became tools for defense and hunting. He taught the children how to build stronger shelters using the crystalline shards to create barriers that reflected the predatory creatures' light-sensitive eyes. Days turned into weeks, and a bond began to form between Elias and the children. They communicated through gestures and expressions, slowly learning to understand one another. Elias discovered that the glowing orb he had been given was more than just a trinket. It was a source of energy, a lifeline for the children and their dwindling supplies. The orb seemed to respond to Elias's touch, growing brighter and more potent, as if feeding off his determination and compassion. But the danger was ever present. The predators of Oriona were relentless, monstrous beings with razor-sharp claws and luminescent eyes that pierced through the darkness. One fateful night, they attacked in full force, their guttural roars echoing across the crystalline valley. Elias and the children fought valiantly, using their makeshift weapons and barriers to hold them at bay. But the creatures were too many, too fierce. In the chaos, Elias made a decision that would change everything. He activated the glowing orb, placing it at the center of the village. And using his own energy to amplify its power, the orb erupted in a blinding light that sent the predators fleeing into the night, their cries of anguish fading into the distance. The children were safe, but Elias collapsed, his strength drained by the effort. When he awoke, he found himself surrounded by the children, their faces filled with gratitude and worry. The orb now glowed with a steady brilliance, as if renewed by Elias's sacrifice. He realized that his actions had forged a bond not just with the children, but with the planet itself. Oriona had accepted him as one of its own. Word of Elias's bravery spread through the crystalline towers. Carried by an unseen network of energy that connected the planet's inhabitants, it reached the ears of a hidden community of adult aliens who had been watching from afar. Wary of outsiders, they emerged cautiously, drawn by the stories of the human who had risked everything to save their children. Elias was welcomed into their fold, his actions earning him their trust and respect. He shared his knowledge of survival and engineering, teaching them how to harness the power of the glowing orbs to rebuild their society. In turn, they shared their secrets with him, revealing advanced technologies and the history of their world. As months turned into years, Elias became more than an explorer. He became a guardian, a leader, and a bridge between two worlds. His ship was eventually repaired, but he chose to remain on Oriona, his heart tied to the children he had saved and the community he had helped to build. One day, as the twin suns rose over the horizon, casting their golden light across the crystalline spires, the alien children, now grown, presented Elias with a gift. It was a new orb, larger and more brilliant than any he had seen before. They explained through gestures and shared memories that it was a symbol of their gratitude and a token of their unity. Elias held the orb in his hands, its warmth spreading through him as he looked out over the land he had come to call home. He realized that the reward he had received was far greater than any treasure or recognition. It was the bond he had forged, the lives he had touched, and the legacy he had built on a distant world under an alien sky. His journey had brought him full circle, and in the end, he had found not only survival, but a purpose that transcended the stars.